You've been feeling it, haven't you? That quiet certainty that lives beneath the chaos, beneath the doubt, beneath the endless questions. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself with fanfare, but it's there. A knowing that settles into your bones when you're not looking, when you stop trying to figure everything out, when you finally exhale and let yourself just be. You know what I'm talking about. That feeling when your soul whispers something your mind can't quite grasp yet. Marriage, sacred union, not just the idea of it, not just the hope, but the actual energetic reality of it approaching, moving toward you like a tide you can't stop, don't want to stop, because deep down you recognize this is what you've been preparing for all along. You feel it in the quiet moments. When you're alone and the world goes still and something inside you says, "This is it, this is the threshold, this is the edge of everything changing." Your heart beats differently now. There's a reverence in your chest that wasn't there before. A softness, a readiness. You've done the work. You've walked through the fire. You've faced yourself in ways that broke you open and put you back together as someone new, someone whole, someone who no longer needs the union to complete her, but desires it as the sacred meeting it was always meant to be. And now, right now, you can feel it. The marriage, the sacred union, it's near. So near you can almost touch it, and your soul is preparing you for what's about to unfold. This isn't just about him coming back. This isn't just about reconciliation or reunion. This is about something far more profound. This is about the sacred marriage, the holy union, the divine partnership that your soul signed up for before you even took your first breath in this lifetime. And if you've been feeling the pull, the shift, the unmistakable sense that everything is aligning, then beloved, you need to hear what I'm about to share with you. If this resonates deep in your soul, drop a comment below and tell me, what signs have you been receiving that union is near? Or simply type, I am ready for sacred union, to claim this energy. And if these transmissions speak to the journey your heart is on, subscribe so you continue receiving the guidance that's meant specifically for you. Let's talk about what's really happening right now. Because something has shifted, hasn't it? Maybe you can't put your finger on exactly when it happened, but somewhere along this journey, something fundamental changed. The desperation lifted. The need to know when and how and why, it softened. You stopped checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stopped analyzing every synchronicity like it was a coded message you had to crack. You stopped waiting for him to validate what you already know in your soul. And in that stopping, in that sacred pause, you found something you didn't expect. You found yourself. Not the version of you that was half a person waiting for her other half, but the whole, complete, sovereign woman who was always there beneath the longing. This is what the journey was always about. Not him, not the relationship, not even the union, not in the way you thought. It was about you remembering who you are. It was about you reclaiming the parts of yourself you gave away, the parts you hid, the parts you didn't think were worthy of love. It was about you standing in front of the mirror, that terrifying, beautiful mirror that this connection held up to your face, and finally seeing yourself clearly. All of you, the light and the shadow, the strength and the fragility, the goddess and the wounded girl. And instead of turning away, instead of collapsing under the weight of your own humanity, you stayed. You looked. You loved what you saw, even the parts that hurt. even the parts that scared you, especially those parts. And that, beloved, that is when everything changed. Because the twin flame journey at its core is an initiation. It's a spiritual awakening disguised as a love story, and you've been initiated. You've walked through the flames. You've died 1,000 deaths and been reborn each time a little more awake, a little more aware, a little more aligned with your true essence. You've released the old stories, the ones that said you weren't enough, the ones that said love had to hurt, the ones that said you needed someone else to make you whole. You've shed those stories like old skin, and what's emerged is radiant. What's emerged is powerful. What's emerged is ready. Ready for what, you might ask? Ready for the sacred union, the marriage, not just the legal ceremony, though that may come. Not just the physical reunion, though that is part of it, but the energetic marriage, the soul union, the meeting of two sovereign beings who have done their inner work, faced their shadows, integrated their wounds, and now stand before each other as equals, as mirrors, as partners in a sacred mission that goes beyond personal fulfillment. This is what's approaching. This is what you've been feeling. This is why everything has shifted. Have you noticed how different you feel lately? There's a groundedness in you that wasn't there before. A certainty. You're not constantly questioning whether this is real anymore. You're not obsessing over whether he feels what you feel. You're not trying to force anything or make anything happen. You've surrendered, but not in a passive, defeated way. You've surrendered in the most powerful way possible. You've surrendered to your own divinity. You've surrendered to the truth that you are the temple, not just the doorway. You've surrendered to the knowing that union begins with you, within you, as you. And in that surrender, you've become magnetic in a way you never were when you were chasing. This is the divine feminine embodiment. This is what happens when a woman stops seeking external validation and starts living from her internal truth. She becomes irresistible, not because she's trying to be, not because she's playing games or using strategies, but because she's aligned with Source, because she's vibrating at the frequency of wholeness. Because she's no longer a half looking for her other half, she's a whole calling in her equal. And that frequency, that vibration, it changes everything. It shifts the entire energetic dynamic of the connection. It sends ripples through the quantum field. It reaches him wherever he is, whatever he's doing, and it touches something deep inside him that he can't ignore. Let's talk about him for a moment. Because while you've been on this journey of self-discovery and healing, he's been on his own journey. It might not look the same as yours. It might not be as conscious or as intentional. But make no mistake, he's been feeling every shift you've made. Every time you chose yourself over waiting for him. Every time you set a boundary. Every time you stepped into your power, every time you released the need for him to be anything other than what he is. He felt it, in his body, in his soul, in the parts of him he doesn't have words for. The masculine's journey is different from the feminine's, where you dove deep into your emotions, into your intuition, into the spiritual dimensions of this connection. He's been grappling with something else entirely. He's been facing his conditioning, the walls he built to protect himself, the armor he wore to survive in a world that told him emotions were weakness, the fear of vulnerability that runs so deep he doesn't even know it's there most of the time. He's been running, yes, but not from you, from himself, from the intensity of what he feels, from the terror of surrendering to something bigger than his ego can control. But something is shifting in him too. You might not see it yet. He might not even fully see it himself. But deep inside, in the quiet moments when he's alone with his thoughts, he knows. He knows this connection is real. He knows you're not just another relationship. He knows that what exists between you is sacred, is destined, is unavoidable. And that knowing terrifies him and calls to him in equal measure. He's been trying to outrun it. He's been trying to convince himself he can live without it. He's been trying to build a life that doesn't include this level of intensity, this level of truth, this level of transformation. But he can't, because you can't outrun your soul. You can't escape your destiny. You can't pretend you don't feel what you feel when every cell in your body is screaming the truth. And the more you've stepped into your sovereignty, the louder that truth has become for him. Your silence has been louder than any words you could have spoken. Your absence has been more present than your presence ever was. Your peace has disrupted his chaos in ways he can't explain. And now, he's at a threshold too. He's standing at the edge of his own transformation, the edge of his own surrender, the edge of finally allowing himself to feel what he's been running from. This is the sacred masculine awakening, and it doesn't happen on your timeline. It doesn't happen because you did everything right, or said the perfect thing, or manifested hard enough. It happens when his soul is ready, when he's been brought to his knees by his own resistance, when the pain of staying closed becomes greater than the fear of opening, when he realizes that the very thing he's been running from is the only thing that will set him free. And beloved, if you're feeling this shift, if you're sensing that something has changed in the energy between you, it's because he's there. He's at that edge. He's in that process. He's waking up. Now, here's where it gets really important. Because as he wakes up, as he begins to turn toward the connection instead of away from it, there's a temptation that might arise in you. The temptation to go back to old patterns, to start chasing again, to reach out, to try to help him through his process, to fix or save or guide him. And beloved, you have to resist that temptation with everything in you, because that's not your role. Your role is not to awaken him. Your role is to stay awakened yourself. Your role is to hold the frequency of union, not to convince him of it. Your role is to be so rooted in your own truth, so solid in your own sovereignty, so clear in your own worth, that he has no choice but to rise to meet you there. This is the paradox of the twin flame journey. The moment you stop trying to make it happen is the moment it begins to happen. The moment you release your attachment to the outcome is the moment the outcome starts to align. The moment you stop needing him to validate the connection is the moment he finally feels safe enough to step into it. Because what he needs, what the masculine always needs, is not a woman who needs him. It's a woman who is whole without him and chooses him anyway. It's a woman who has done her work and stands in her power and invites him to join her in that elevated space. It's a woman who is the temple, the frequency, the embodiment of the union itself. And that's who you've become. That's what this journey has forged in you. You are no longer the woman who started this journey. You are no longer the chaser, the pleader, the one who bent herself into shapes to make him comfortable. You are the woman who knows her worth, the woman who trusts the process, the woman who understands that sacred union is not something you beg for, it's something you become. And in becoming it, you call it forth, not through force, not through manipulation, but through alignment, through frequency, through the simple, profound act of being who you truly are. So what does this mean for the marriage, for the sacred union that's approaching? It means that everything you've been through, every painful moment of separation, every dark night of the soul, every time you thought you couldn't take another step, it was all preparation. It was all necessary. It was all part of the initiation that both of you needed to go through to be ready for what's coming. Because sacred union is not for the faint of heart. It's not a fairy tale. It's not an escape from your problems or a shortcut to happiness. It's a crucible. It's a mirror. It's a constant invitation to grow, to heal, to evolve, to become more of who you truly are. And you can't enter that kind of union as a half person looking to be completed. You can't enter it codependent, needy, desperate. You can't enter it with unhealed wounds that you expect your partner to fix. You have to enter it whole. You have to enter it sovereign. You have to enter it as someone who has done the work, faced the shadow, integrated the lessons, and emerged as a conscious, awakened being. And that's what this separation has been about. That's what all the pain and longing and confusion has been preparing you for. Not just reunion, but sacred union. Not just getting back together, but coming together in a completely new way, at a completely new level, as completely new people. The signs are everywhere if you know how to read them. The synchronicities are increasing. The dreams are becoming more vivid. You might be seeing repeated numbers, especially 11s and 2s and 4s. You might be hearing songs that speak directly to your situation. You might be having telepathic experiences, feeling his energy, knowing what he's thinking or feeling even though you're not in contact. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations. These are the universe's way of telling you that yes, you're on the right path. Yes, this is real. Yes, the union is approaching. Yes, everything is aligning in divine timing. But here's what you need to understand about divine timing. It's not about waiting passively for something to happen to you. Divine timing is about alignment. It's about both people reaching a certain level of readiness at the same time. It's about both souls completing the necessary lessons and healing the necessary wounds and integrating the necessary wisdom. And you can't force that. You can't rush it. You can't make it happen before it's meant to. But you can trust it. You can surrender to it. You can know that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when it doesn't look the way you thought it would. There's a testing phase that happens right before sacred union. It's the final initiation. The universe or spirit, or whatever you want to call the divine intelligence that orchestrates these connections, it tests you. It tests your faith. It tests your surrender. It tests whether you've really integrated the lessons or if you're just performing them. It tests whether you're truly sovereign or if you're still secretly waiting for him to complete you. It tests whether you can hold the frequency of union even when there's no evidence of it in the physical realm. And this testing phase can be brutal. It can feel like everything is falling apart right when you thought it was all coming together. But if you're in that phase right now, if you're feeling tested, know this. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You're being given one final opportunity to prove to yourself, not to anyone else, but to yourself, that you are ready, that you trust, that you know your worth, that you can stand in your truth even when everything around you is uncertain. And when you pass that test, when you hold steady in your sovereignty, no matter what's happening externally, that's when everything shifts. That's when the gates open. That's when the sacred union becomes not just a possibility, but an inevitability. Let's talk about what sacred union actually looks like, because it's important to have clarity on this. Sacred union, twin flame marriage. It's not a destination where all your problems disappear and you live happily ever after. It's a beginning. It's the start of a new phase of the journey where you get to practice everything you've learned in the context of partnership. It's where you get to navigate triggers and shadows and growth edges together instead of separately. It's where you get to support each other's missions and purposes. It's where you get to create something together that neither of you could create alone. In sacred union, you are two whole people choosing to walk a path together. You maintain your individual sovereignty while also creating a third entity, the relationship itself, that you both serve. You don't lose yourself in the union. You don't sacrifice your needs or desires or truth to keep the peace. You show up fully, authentically, vulnerably, and you trust that the connection is strong enough to hold all of you. You communicate openly. You set boundaries lovingly. You give each other space to grow. You celebrate each other's wins. You hold each other through the losses. You laugh together. You cry together. You evolve together. And yes, there's a physical marriage component for many twin flames. The ceremony, the commitment, the public declaration of your union. But that's not what makes it sacred. What makes it sacred is the consciousness you bring to it, the intention, the understanding that this is not just about personal happiness, but about service. Service to each other, yes, but also service to something greater. Because twin flame unions have a collective purpose. They're here to anchor a new template of relationship on the planet. They're here to show what's possible when two people do their inner work and come together in wholeness. They're here to raise the frequency of love itself. So if you're feeling called to this sacred union, if you're feeling the pull toward marriage with your twin flame, it's not just a personal desire. It's a soul calling. It's part of your mission. It's part of why you're here. And the fact that you're feeling it so strongly right now means that you're ready. Or at least, you're getting ready. You're in the final stages of preparation. And so is he, even if he doesn't know it yet. Even if he's still in resistance. Even if from the outside it looks like nothing is happening. Energetically, everything is happening. The pieces are moving into place. The timing is aligning. The frequency is matching. And soon, very soon, the physical reality will reflect the energetic truth. But you have to do your part. You have to stay in your lane. You have to keep choosing yourself, keep honoring your truth, keep living your life fully instead of putting it on hold waiting for him. You have to trust that he's on his own journey and that his soul knows exactly what it's doing, even when his human self is confused. You have to release the need to control how or when or in what way the union unfolds. You have to surrender to the mystery, to the magic, to the divine orchestration that's been guiding this connection from the very beginning. And you have to know, deep in your bones, that what's meant for you cannot miss you. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, not naive faith, but the kind of faith that's earned through experience. The kind of faith that comes from seeing how every single thing that happened, even the painful things, especially the painful things, were actually guiding you toward your highest good. The kind of faith that comes from recognizing the perfection in the pattern, even when you're still in the middle of it. The kind of faith that comes from connecting to your own inner knowing, that quiet voice inside you that's been telling you all along that this is real, this matters, this is worth it. You have that faith. You've cultivated it through every moment you chose to trust instead of fear. Every moment you chose love instead of bitterness. Every moment you chose to believe in the connection even when you had no proof. That faith is your foundation. That faith is what's going to carry you through these final stages. That faith is what's going to allow you to receive the sacred union when it arrives. Because you have to be able to hold it. You have to be able to meet it with an open heart instead of a clenched fist. You have to be able to say yes to it without conditions, without defenses, without the walls you built to protect yourself during the separation. And that's scary, isn't it? The idea of being that vulnerable again. The idea of opening your heart fully to someone who hurt you, even if the hurt was unintentional, even if it was part of the process. There's a part of you that wants to protect yourself, that wants to make him prove himself, that wants to make him pay for the pain you went through. And that's human, that's understandable, but it's not the frequency of sacred union. Sacred union requires forgiveness, not the kind of forgiveness where you pretend nothing happened, but the kind where you acknowledge what happened, you honor the pain it caused, and then you release it. You let it go. You choose to meet this moment fresh, without dragging the past into it. Because here's the truth. He's not the same person he was when he ran, and you're not the same person you were when he left. You've both been transformed by this journey. You've both been broken down and rebuilt. You've both faced things in yourselves that you didn't even know were there. And the people who are coming back together in sacred union are not the same people who separated. They're evolved versions. They're healed versions. They're awakened versions. And they deserve a chance to meet each other anew without the baggage of who they used to be. This is the gift of the twin flame journey. It gives you the opportunity to completely reinvent yourself, and then to come together with your person from that new place. It's not about going back to how things were. It's about creating something entirely new, something better, something more aligned with who you both truly are. And that requires letting go of old expectations, old resentments, old stories about how it should be. It requires presence. It requires openness. It requires a willingness to be surprised by who he's become and who you've become and what you can create together now. So as you stand on this threshold, as you feel the sacred union approaching with every fiber of your being, as you sense the energetic shifts happening in both the visible and invisible realms, I want you to pause and ask yourself these profound questions. These aren't casual inquiries, beloved. These are soul-level questions that deserve your deepest honesty and your most courageous vulnerability? Am I ready to meet him as he is now, in this present moment, not as he was in the past? Am I ready to release the version of him I've been holding in my memory, the version I've been clinging to during the separation, and instead open my heart to the evolved, transformed man he has become through his own journey? Can I let go of my expectations of who I thought he would be and instead embrace the reality of who he actually is after all this growth and healing? Am I ready to show up as I am now, fully and completely, without hiding the parts of myself I used to keep in shadow, without performing or pretending to be someone I think he wants me to be? Can I stand before him in my authentic power, in my truth, in my vulnerability, and trust that this version of me, the real me, is not only enough but is exactly what this union needs? Am I ready to build something entirely new, something we've never experienced before? Instead of trying to resurrect something old, instead of attempting to go back to what we had before, to those early days that felt magical, but were ultimately unsustainable because neither of us was ready. Can I release my attachment to how things used to be and instead get excited about co-creating something far more mature, far more grounded, far more aligned with who we both are now? Am I ready to trust with every cell in my body that we've both done enough work, healed enough wounds, faced enough shadows, learned enough lessons, and grown enough spiritually to do this differently this time? Can I have faith that the separation served its purpose, that the pain wasn't wasted, that we've both transformed enough to not repeat the old patterns that caused us to separate in the first place? Am I ready to say yes to sacred union, with full awareness of all its challenges and all its gifts, with eyes wide open to the fact that this journey will continue to ask things of me, will continue to invite me to grow, and will bring both extraordinary beauty and profound responsibility into my life? If the answer is yes, and I deeply suspect it is, or you wouldn't be here right now listening to these words, absorbing this transmission, feeling the resonance in your heart, then, beloved, you're ready. You're truly ready. You're ready for the sacred marriage that your soul has been preparing for through every experience you've had. You're ready for the union that will challenge you and expand you in ways you can't even imagine yet. You're ready for the partnership that your soul has been calling in since before you were born, since before you took form in this physical body, since the moment your soul agreed to this journey and made this sacred contract with your twin flame. And here's what's even more beautiful: the universe is ready too. The cosmic timing is aligning in ways that are beyond your conscious understanding. The frequency is matching between you and your twin in ways that the separation made possible. The path is clearing of obstacles that needed to be removed, of lessons that needed to be learned, of healing that needed to occur before you could walk this path together. Everything you've been through, every moment of heartbreak, every night of tears, every day of confusion, every experience that felt like it might break you, has led to this moment. Everything you've learned, every insight you've gained, every piece of wisdom you've acquired, every way you've grown, has prepared you for what's coming. Everything you've released, every attachment you've surrendered, every old pattern you've broken, every limiting belief you've dissolved, has made space for what's arriving. And what's arriving is beautiful beyond words. What's arriving is sacred in a way that will take your breath away. What's arriving is worth every single moment of pain and confusion and doubt and fear you experience to get here. Because sacred union with your twin flame is not just a relationship like any other relationship you've experienced. It's not just a partnership or a romance or a connection. It's a homecoming to a place you've always known but couldn't quite remember. It's a remembering of who you truly are at the deepest level of your being. It's a return to the wholeness you've always been, but forgot for a while as you moved through the illusion of separation. It's two mirrors finally facing each other at the perfect angle, and seeing the divine reflected back in its full glory. Seeing God in each other's eyes, recognizing the infinite in the finite. It's two flames finally merging into the fire they were always meant to create together. A fire that will warm not just the two of you, but everyone whose life you touch. It's two souls finally fulfilling the contract they made before they ever took form in these bodies, before they descended into the density of this physical realm. Honoring the agreement they made in the spiritual realms to find each other, to awaken each other, to help each other remember, and ultimately to come together in sacred union to serve a purpose greater than themselves. But even as I say all this, even as I paint this beautiful picture of what's coming, I want you to remember something crucial, something that will keep you grounded and centered and in your power. The union is not the end goal. Let me say that again because it's so important. The union is not the end goal. You are the end goal. Your wholeness is the end goal. Your alignment with your highest self, with your divine nature, with the truth of who you are beyond all the stories and identities, is the end goal. The union is a beautiful expression of that, a sacred container for that continued growth and evolution. But it's not what makes you complete. You're already complete. You're already whole. You're already everything you need to be right now in this moment. And the sacred marriage, when it comes, will be the celebration of that truth, the honoring of that wholeness, not the source of it. The union doesn't complete you. It reflects the completion you've already achieved within yourself. So keep doing your work. Beloved, keep showing up for yourself every single day. Keep honoring yourself in ways big and small. Keep living your life fully and joyfully and purposefully, not as if you're waiting for something to begin, but as if your real life is happening right now, because it is. Keep trusting the process even when your mind wants certainty and your ego wants guarantees. Keep holding the frequency of love, not desperate love that grasps and clings, not needy love that seeks to fill a void, but sovereign love, abundant love, overflowing love that starts with you and radiates outward to everyone and everything around you. Keep knowing that you are the temple, the sacred space where the divine dwells. Keep knowing that you are the frequency, the vibration that calls in what's meant for you. Keep knowing that you are the invitation, and what you embody is what you attract. Keep embodying the union within yourself so completely, so fully, so authentically that when he's ready, when the timing is divinely right, when both of you are standing in your full power and truth and sovereignty, the external union will be the natural, inevitable, effortless reflection of the internal union you've already achieved within yourself. The sacred marriage is near, beloved. It's closer than you might think. You feel it because it's true, because your intuition is guiding you accurately. You sense it because your soul knows things your mind cannot comprehend. You're being prepared because it's coming, because the universe is orchestrating the final alignments that need to happen. And when it arrives, when you finally stand before each other ready to say yes to this sacred commitment, ready to embark on this journey together, you'll understand with perfect clarity why everything had to happen exactly as it did. You'll see the perfection in the pain, the divine order in what felt like chaos. You'll recognize the gifts in the separation, the growth that could only happen apart. You'll honor the journey that brought you both to this moment of readiness, this moment where you're both finally capable of holding the frequency of sacred union. And you'll step into the union not as two halves finally becoming whole, not from a place of lack or incompleteness, but as two wholes choosing to create something greater than either of you could create alone, choosing to merge your missions, your purposes, your gifts in service of something far bigger than just your personal happiness. So, beloved, let this be your reminder, your anchor, your truth. You were never waiting for him to make you complete. That was never the purpose of this journey. You were always waiting for yourself to remember that you already are complete, whole, divine, and perfect exactly as you are. And now, as you stand fully in that remembrance, as you embody the frequency of sacred union within yourself, as you hold steady in your sovereignty and your truth and your power, the external marriage becomes not just possible but inevitable, because union begins with her. Union begins with you. Union begins with the feminine standing so completely in her wholeness that she becomes the magnetic force that draws the masculine into readiness. And you, beautiful soul, you are ready. You have done the work. You have walked through the fire. You have earned this union through your dedication to your own growth and healing. And soon, very soon, you'll experience the fruits of all that you've sown. Tell me in the comments, what signs have been showing you that sacred union is near? What has shifted in you that lets you know you're ready? Your wisdom, your experience, your journey might be exactly what another soul needs to hear today. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel so you continue receiving these transmissions as you walk this sacred path toward union. Because your journey matters, your story matters, and the love you're calling in, it's not just for you, it's for all of us, showing us what's possible when we do the work and trust the process, and say yes to the sacred union our souls have always known was coming.